All right, so we're just going to let that lanolin mixture dry off, or the alcohol will vape off of it. So some of the classes that I've been seeing lately, hunter classes. The hunter classes have been a lot of fun because we see a lot of light bulbs come on. And the majority of our students that have shown up they're students that are already in good mindsets, in the sense that, hey, they're there because they want to be responsible and ethical hunters, which is badass, right? So they also want to get training. And getting training is one of those things where not very many people do it. Not very many people get training. So it's a really small percentage of the shooting community, of those that actually want to invest their money and get training. So when those people show up to class, it's a pleasure because they have a vested interest in their own success, and they're very attentive. And so that goes with all of our students, because everybody who is there because they want to be there. So the hunters, though, it's been an interesting thing to see, and I have a conversation planned with Colton Bagnoli about this. And we're going to do like a series on some hunting topics on the rifle side of the house, as well as on the conservation side of the house, which I think is pretty interesting, because, you know, I don't follow a ton of hunting podcasts, just because I think the hunting industry is polluted with a bunch of influencers that, you know, have had a negative impact on the sport. And it's created a culture that that is kind of drifting away and going against the grain of, you know, what hunting heritage is in the United States of America. So those are other conversations. But these guys, these hunters, are showing up with a lot of really good equipment, which is cool to see, because it always wasn't that way. But the trend that I'm seeing is these super ultra lightweight Magnum rifles shooting big stuff like 300 PRCs, 300 Normas, 7 PRCs, and don't see too many lightweight 6.5 Creedmoors coming through the class. We don't see very many lightweight 308s coming through the class. And these really lightweight guns, students have this, I think, false sense of security as, yes, this is a precision rifle. It was built with precision in mind. However, the lighter the rifle and the harder the recoil, the less forgiving that system is. And as a system that is unforgiving, when you need it to be the most forgiving, because when you need that rifle to work, you're at potentially your worst, right? It depends on how your hunting trip goes. You know, you could be out in the mountains for, 10 days and finally have an opportunity to harvest an animal. So when that moment comes, you need to make sure that that your equipment is going to be able to produce, and it's going to be a balance of forgiveness. Now, obviously, we're not going to be hiking. I did it once. It was stupid. I mean, it was at the time. I took that 300 Win Mag on a backcountry mule deer hunt here in Washington State, and all the guys that I went with were like, "You're absolutely insane. That rifle weighs like 17 pounds." And I was like, "Well, I just got out of the Marine Corps, and that's normal. So that is actually lighter of a rifle. And my pack is lighter than what I carried in the Marine Corps." So it was just a different mindset. But the lightweight rifles, there's a balance to that, guys. And that balance is making sure that you can shoot your rifle. And some of the classes that we've had, the students are shooting these rifles. Number one, we're not talking about accuracy of the system at all yet. I'm talking purely the ability to apply the fundamentals of marksmanship, because the rifles are so unforgiving. And what that means is that any small errors that we put into the system as shooters is going to produce a significant error in the rifle as it relates to dispersion downrange, right? So the size of your groups and your ability to break a clean shot. And then there's the recoil side of it, which is the psychological side of it, and the neurobiological side of it. Because, once your brain, because you don't even understand what's going on, your brain is being shocked into a really negative stimulus as a result of the action of shooting the rifle. And so you're going to have a startle reflex. You're going to have pre-ignition movements, and those pre-ignition movements are going to be really big because your brain does not like what's happening to it. And if you incorporate pain into that mix, then it's going to be even worse. And so you see students where they literally close their eyes and press the trigger because they know it's coming. And it's just like, whoa, dude, we have to time out. You're not going to hit anything. And the American adage of, bigger is better, and we need bigger. So we need like these big giant calibers in these huge cartridges to get the job done. And you absolutely don't. And anyways, the bullet is going to do the same amount of damage in terms of the effect on the animal, which is killing it. But if you can't shoot that rifle accurately enough to put a bullet where it needs to go, we all know that shot placement is king over anything. So shot placement absolutely has to be important at the highest list of priorities. But if you can't shoot your rifle well, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to hit what you're aiming at. And the byproduct of that is recoil management, meaning when you come out of recoil, you have no idea what the hell just happened. You have no idea what your bullet just told you because you were too busy catching a rifle in the face with all of that recoil. So what is the solution? I don't know, man, because rifle manufacturers, they want to sell rifles and they want to shoot. Hunters want to buy new rifles because we want to buy what the newest, latest, and greatest is. That's just kind of the way we are. And so with that, I think it's just balances on education and saying, okay, we have these harder hitting Magnum cartridges that take a lot more skill to shoot. And if that's your intention, then fantastic. Just go learn how to shoot that rifle to its potential and your potential. There's a lot to be had with it. And as a matter of fact, that's probably the worst rifle that you could learn on. I would want students to learn on something like a 6.5 Creedmoor instead of something of even a short action Magnum, because the recoil sensitivity comes, and because we're already battling enough as it is from the neurobiological and psychological side. So it's like, hey, let's not make this any worse with the addition of discomfort of just getting kicked in the face by a mule every time you press the trigger. So I would just say that if you're new into this game and you're a midlife adult onset hunter where you're like, hey, I want to get into this, please just don't succumb to the marketing machine. Do your research. Come to a place like moderndayrifleman.com and look up things like cartridge comparisons. We have that on our YouTube as well. And just educate yourself on what is going to meet your needs while allowing you to have the most performance out of the system, which means shooting it well.